2004 was marked by continued war in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as the re-election of President George W. Bush. We sadly lost screen legend Marlon Brando. And we scoured the tabloids for news of Britney Spears' wedding. With both love and war in the air, fashion responded with a range of looks from the boudoir to the more conservative. See highlights from several young designers who brought back a new sophistication. And see the hottest trends of 2004 from spring retro's 20s glamour to winter's prim and pretty looks.
Refreshingly feminine. I really love the full skirts with the knit jackets. I thought that was very chic, very new look. Somehow retro modern.
Christopher Bailey deftly updated the hallmarks of Burberry. Alexander McQueen's interpretation of a Depression-era film classic was the fashion moment of the year.
The girls were dancing. I mean, they went out of their way to give us such a great performance, and it was just one of the best shows I think we've seen all season.
Meet the most promising newcomer of 2004, London's Giles Deacon. And meet three doe-eyed new beauties who dolled up the runways. Bags, brooches, boots, and bows made up the best baubles of 2004. Marc Jacobs and Donna Karan celebrated their 20th anniversaries.
I can't believe that it's 20 years. When I thought about it today, I was like, oh my God, because it seems to have gone by so quickly.
We bid a sad farewell to provocative photographer Helmut Newton. And say hello and goodbye to the designers who took the reins at major fashion houses and those who took their final bow.
There's a lot of musical chairs going on at the moment in fashion.
Thousands of clothes hit the runways, and it is enough to make the most stylish girls dizzy. Fashion insiders know it only takes a few key pieces to summarize your wardrobe.
Very, very strong, amazing season we've enjoyed this year.
Very, very attuned to our great Gatsby moment that's going on in the culture. Very, very attuned to a desire and a hunger for glamour.
A lot of color, a lot of glitz, a lot of glamour. It's sort of like a return to the original showgirl.
It looks like F. Scott Fitzgerald's gal, Daisy Buchanan, won't have any problem finding a delicate little something to wear to her summer social. You'll always be Charleston ready in these dropped waist dresses with geometric patterns and sexy fringe. Their luxurious embellishments and Art Deco detailing are sure to add a retro glamour to any summer soiree. No longer the rumpled trench coat made legendary by television's Lieutenant Columbo, the summer trench is reworked beyond recognition. This Macintosh may be barely there, but it will add major impact to your wardrobe. A little sun shower won't put a damper on your mood or your outfit. Problem solved with this transparent leather number. Some are even trimmed to perfection. Not satisfied with just being beige? These Macs can be found in everything from liquid copper to gilded gold. This summer, go for the gold, as well as the silver and any metallic in between. These shiny metals are molded into sexy short dresses or extremely fitted suits that will lighten up any room. Everything from a motorcycle jacket to a seductive swimsuit is given the Midas touch. It may look silver, but it is pure platinum. From the power suit to the classic suit, this metal will add an edge to your summer days. From ship to shore, the nautical look has its feet planted firmly on the ground this summer. Sailor stripes come in classic white and blue or vibrant reds and yellows. It's easy to toe the line in naval-inspired pants with distinctive button motifs. Seafaring tops and handbags secure their style quotient with a requisite anchor. It's maritime in the summer. From the boudoir to the boardroom, bustiers, baby dolls, and garter belts become less intimate this summer. These one-time undergarments become outer garments. Corsets are either naughty or nice, found in romantic lace or lusty leather. Some are even doing double duty as stylish jackets or suggestive suits. Baby dolls are no longer meant for the bedroom, especially when they come in distressed leather. These lingerie-inspired clothes will cause a summer heat wave. And what item signals the new season more than any other? The swimsuit. They're hot, they're beautiful, and there is sure to be one that will fancy the beach lover in you. It's the best of the shows from Video Fashion. The newest crop of fashion talent is making its name not by being anti-fashion and avant-garde, but rather by exhibiting a refinement that designers with much more experience could only aspire to. This is a group that embraces both the workmanship and the spirit of old-school couture without ever letting their fashion become dusty or dull. Here are 5 of the best that are bringing fashion a new sophistication. A CFDA Newcomer Award gave the boys of PROENZA SCHOULER the seal of approval from the fashion establishment.
They're sweet, they're really humble, they're excited, and they're so young.
It's kind of overwhelming.
I mean, we still feel the same in a lot of ways. You know, almost last season was harder for us because, yeah, I mean, this is a bigger show, but the last time was our first show.
It was our first show. This season's a lot more relaxed. The hemlines are dropped, the waists are dropped, the skirts are full. There's just like more of an easiness, I think.
It's very light, very feminine, kind of Chanel influence what they're doing today, which I think is the right way to go.
We help each other through every single step. It's not like he does one thing and I do the other. Every single step is done dually.
Over the last 10 years, Australian designer Martin Grant has been creating his version of chic in the Marais district in Paris.
Do everything quite tailored, quite structured, so the fabrics were very much about that as well, except for the first section, which was the more simple, fluid pieces. The starting point was my grandmother and her shirt maker dresses that she always wore. She was a couturier and she taught me how to sew.
I thought it was very beautiful. I think it's the essence of French refinement and sophistication. It's a very small collection for women who want to look a certain way.
In the end section it was the silver leather and then a silver lurex, which is actually like a 30s fabric.
For summer, Benaz Sarafour merged her good girl image with a much more sexually confident woman.
As a designer, I love seeing women looking sexy, but there's a sort of clean kind of refinement that I sort of try to keep to. Its last collection for me was so sweet and feminine, and I love change and I love surprising people. I think there's always a very clean graphic element to my work. Everything really ties together. As a sportswear designer, for me, it's all about the mix of things.
I think Benaz is part of a whole new young generation of American designers that are becoming more and more successful.
Meet young New Yorker Zach Bozen.
I wanted it to look clean. I wanted it to look like a girl on the street, young, fresh, light, to suit these billowing gowns.
I'm very lucky. I get to wear a beautiful outfit, and Zach is an amazing designer, and I'm very happy that I can be part of the show.
He's amazing. He literally does things I really haven't seen before.
This collection is amazing. It's so sexy. I mean, it's so sensual and organic and feminine. It's just wonderful.
It's wonderful when other artists come to see your work is always an honor.
He took, very much a romantic, feminine point of view and translated it for the House of Rochas. I thought it was terrific.
For his second collection, Olivier Thuyskens blended old world couture details with modern Gothic glamour while always staying true to the Rochas woman.
The Rochas woman, the woman concerned by Rochas in the life, is a woman that has taste. Maybe I hope can really like some items and really bring them into her life and mix them easily. I want to project a sort of edgy idea of a Rochas fashion.
Since taking over at Rochas, Olivier has been concerned with creating a wardrobe for his customers, or what the French call a garde-robe.
I have very been focused to define the precise idea of Rochas, the garde-robe of Rochas. And this time it was interesting because I could discover how I could figure really personal ideas, personal theme, personal conception and notion of women into a Rochas style. And it's very interesting because it's not schizophrenic, but almost, to really work in another label and try to really figure the good idea of what the brand is, what is the product, what is the look of that, and what is the smell, the spirit of Rochas. And I wanted to also be confident and know that I could adapt really personal notion of fashion, of women into that style.
One thing I thought was a little strange was I kept thinking a couple of girls were kind of hippie, and then I realized in some of them he had put actually a panier, or the French, I guess we call it panier, Marie Antoinette wore, under the skirts to give it shape away from the body.
It was very much a continuation of what he started out doing, and I think, we're lacking young designers that really want to do clothes for women. I mean, that really can work on the street, in the ballroom.
For the ballroom, Thuyskens offered beautiful volume in gowns that seemed to float down the runway.
Last one was fertility, you know, it's like cocoons, like ants, you know, little ants. And these are the notions that are like primitive and basically like naive and childish that I wanted to figure in the dresses. Another one is like the lace, with completely embroidered, going in everywhere. It's like a magma of lace. And it's like it figures a bit like the cows. And some lace is also appearing in it and beginning to form something. You see, it's like basically strange notion that are personal, but in the end I want beautiful gowns, beautiful girls in it.
Of all the talented photographers that have worked for Vogue magazine through the decades, Helmut Newton was perhaps the most controversial. Known for provocative, erotically charged photographs, usually in stark black and white, Newton was often referred to as the King of King. Newton was based in Monte Carlo, but he spent his winters in Los Angeles. And it was there, in Hollywood, that the legendary lensman died as the result of a car accident. His challenging mind and confrontational images will be missed. It was an appropriate case of summer showers at Burberry Prosum. But from the house synonymous with the legendary raincoat came a season's worth of beautifully washed out new classics.
I wanted the whole atmosphere to be very romantic, very elegant. I wanted it to be very soft. The colors were very soft, very feminine. I wanted everything to be very light. Again, the silhouette needed to be soft, so we used fabrics like chiffon and silk, georgette, and a lot of prints as well. The colors were lilacs, they were pale mint, a lot of white, and mixed in there we put a little bit of moss green just to give a bit of a kick.
The color palette of the clothes was incorporated into the makeup.
It's really natural, really fresh. We've used a lot of colours from the collection, which are kind of naked, nude colours. It's a little hint on the cheeks, it's very fresh, it's mascara, it's quite pretty, it's very nude, just like the clothes. It's effortless, and it looks very beautiful.
Breezy dresses and softly voluminous skirts were countered with stronger shapes in men's pinstripe suiting fabrics. Prints range from quirky raindrops to bold plaids, but the iconic Burberry plaid made only a cameo appearance this season.
The idea was really to use accessories with Burberry check, but then very new fabrics like raffia also.
However, while the plaid was spare on the runway, Bailey did not discard all evidence of the house icon. The trench coat was softened up, cropped off, and then brought out for cocktails as silky little capelets. Bailey is obviously keen to prove that the house is about more than just a trench coat.
Burberry is really such an elastic brand. It really works for so many different types of women. We have a very strong fashion lady, we have a very classic lady, and really very young, someone a bit older. So it really works for so many different types of people. Prosum is really about fashion, it's about an energy.
Alexander McQueen held his fashion spectacular this season in a 19th century Parisian dance hall. To stage the event, and by any standard, it was truly the fashion event of the season, McQueen drew inspiration from the Sidney Pollack-directed film They Shoot Horses, Don't They? The fashion show, like the film, told the story of a Depression-era dance marathon.
Spectacular. What we saw there was so amazing. I mean, the show was startling. They shoot horses, don't they theme, but within that we saw some gorgeous clothes and some very, very real clothes, from grand evening to the most wonderful undone distressed denims. It was spectacular.
Lace, beautiful sequin gowns, Oscar, Oscar, Oscar everywhere. But then also wonderful playfulness with denim, with lots of sheer inset panels and the whole patchwork that he did with the leather, and then the cotton kind of take on that sort of Western hillbilly theme. He picked up on one of the biggest trends of the season, of course, which is the ballet trend. But of course he took it to another level, and once again he had a transcendent sort of experience watching it. The girls were dancing. I mean, they went out of their way to give us such a great performance, and it was just one of the best shows I think we've seen all season.
The collection also got the thumbs up from Domenico De Sole, the CEO of the Gucci Group, parent company of Alexander McQueen.
I thought it was a fantastic collection and truly beautiful show. And in fact, I was delighted that at the end, a lot of people from the press, some old friends, they're usually very quiet and they never say anything. They were very, very excited, were visibly excited by the beauty of the show and the clothes. So I'm delighted.
De Sole's only concern was that the audience understand that despite the theatrics, the clothes were still truly beautiful.
That's very typical of Lee. He always does really wonderful presentation, but I want everybody to understand it was a beautiful, beautiful collection. It's just not a matter of show. The show was great, but I thought the clothes were simply beautiful, and everybody was very excited tonight. It was a great as one of the great journalists said today, this is a great fashion moment tonight, and we are very pleased.
Women don't all want to look the same anymore. It's the idea of taking pieces and putting them together in your own way. And I think what we're seeing on the runway is lots of suggestions about how to achieve that look.
With over 500 fashion shows to hit the catwalk, it was clear that designers appreciate a woman's personal style. This winter, designers paid homage to Helmut Newton and the tuxedo-clad women that he loved to photograph. There is nothing as seductive as a woman in a menswear-inspired suit. The tailoring is masculine, but the detailing is entirely feminine. Nipped waist, lace, pleats, and pearls soften the look. Think of the iconic Bianca Jagger in her Studio 54 heyday. Powerfully sexual, but with a seductive, manly edge. Classic patterns such as checks, plaids, and houndstooth take on a new attitude this winter. Exaggerated in larger-than-life proportions, they will make a bold statement whether worn sparingly or in graphically textured layers. These tricked-up patterns will bring a new dynamic to your traditional wardrobe. It's time to put away that pashmina for a perfectly petite cape, or long may be more your style to bring out your inner superwoman. Always functional and a little bit frivolous, these cover-ups are sure to chase winter's gloom away. In everything from traditional fur to highly embellished fabric, there's no better way to express your personality. have thought that demure could be so alluring. Polished and prim, this look is the new covered-up sexy. This sweet 50s innocence is sure to melt away the season's first frost.
Refreshingly feminine. I really love the full skirts with the knit jackets. I thought that was very chic, very new look. Somehow retro modern.
A feeling of dressing up, femininity, the 50s kind of Mona Lisa smile inspired.
Baby, it's cold outside. The best way to pamper yourself this winter is to wrap up in luxurious fur. In everything from full-length fabulous to fluffy little chubbies and Elmer Fudd-inspired hunting hats, these furs take an off-handed approach and add much-needed warmth to your look.
It's everywhere. It's almost like, okay, enough already. But I think it also speaks about the kind of obsession we have with luxury and taking it to a degree where eccentricity and richness and that kind of sense of indulgence, you know, propels women to want to buy investment pieces.
What a woman today needs to do is to take inspiration from the runway, but not to copy it slavishly.
There's a lot of musical chairs going on at the moment in fashion.
Fall 2004 was the season of the hello goodbye in fashion's ever-revolving door. The loudest chatter was about the Ford farewell, and of course, the major news was Tom's departure from Yves Saint Laurent and Gucci. When the 29-year-old designer arrived at the Horsey house in 1990, he was merely a hired hand, not even allowed to take a runway bow. For the first few years, Ford toiled away behind the scenes, but for fall 1995, he sent out a 70s-inspired blockbuster and emerged for his first finale. Gucci entered a new chapter. Tom announced his retirement, and who would take over became fashion's favorite guessing game.
It's the $64 million question.
There are a lot of names being bandied around. I'm sure they'll make a great choice, and we're all looking forward to seeing who it's going to be.
Stefano Pilati would take over at Yves Saint Laurent, and a team would take control at Gucci. All had worked under Tom Ford at the respective houses. None were known outside the inner circle.
And the big question is, what does he do next?
I've opened an office in Los Angeles, and I'm looking for the right film script to direct, and so I'm not really retired. I'm just stepping away from fashion for the moment.
When Michael Kors took over at the virtually dormant house of Celine in 1998, it was with the intention of waking up a sleeping beauty. The venerable house had good bones, but needed the shot of American pizzazz that sportswear classicist Kors could bring. Over a 7-year period, the press-friendly designer garnered more attention for the house than they could have hoped. Season after season, he brought a globe-trotting glamour to the collection not seen before. However, an opportunity to expand his own line in New York was too tough to refuse.
We've brought in a whole new clientele to Celine that didn't exist before. You know, it's not your grandmother's Celine anymore when J-Lo and Madonna hit the roads in it.
Roberto Menichetti will take creative control next season. One of the least surprising changes this season was the departure of Julian MacDonald from Givenchy. Despite the attention that he garners in London for his theatrical shows, his flamboyance never quite gelled with the elegant Hepburn heritage of the house. Regardless of last-minute rumors to the contrary, this was to be MacDonald's last season at Givenchy. The house expects to name a new designer during the spring 2005 collections in Paris. Perhaps the most highly anticipated collection of the season was Jean-Paul Gaultier's debut at Hermès. Assuming the reins from Martin Margiela, the effervescent Gautier plundered the house's equestrian heritage.
They give me a total freedom of doing whatever I wanted to do. So that's marvelous, you know, and I try to respect and to put myself into it, you know. It was like a combination of like a wedding. It's like, you know, Hermes and Gaultier, so that is the baby.
For the fall-winter season, beauty makers all had the same carefully crafted idea in mind.
I'm doing very small head, I'm doing a tiny French twist and some waves.
We wanted to work with a small head, so I came up with this idea of these very tight curls, almost like just like a cap of curls.
We're just getting the feeling of a small head with a side parting. It's difficult to do, actually, to get it really small and tight. Judging from the journalists that see other shows are telling me that they're seeing this small head a lot everywhere. So I guess it is a trend that's emerging.
It's kind of been the week of the small head, which is interesting. I think it's because there's a lot of detail around the neck. There's a lot of fur and color detail around the neck at a lot of the shows. So I think that the hairstylists are saying, we're not going to do big messy hair because you don't want that when you have something beautiful surrounding the head.
With all the hair taken off the face, it's no wonder makeup focused on the eye, especially with shimmery metallics.
We're working with different metallic tones around the eye. On the inner eye and on the lid, we're using gold, and then it blends out.
I'm doing kind of a smoky eye with just like little pieces of gold leaf and just like gold accents to. There's a lot of gold this season.
But the most memorable makeup moments came in the form of the alien glamour at Alexander McQueen and Victor and Rolf's fashion fairy tale.
There were antlers. Who would have thought that we would see antlers? Antlers is the trend of the season. I think we're gonna see antlers everywhere in New York next season.
New to London Fashion Week was the highly anticipated debut collection from Giles Deacon, called simply Giles. Deacon's studio, based in London's edgy East End, serves as a base for inspiration.
All the paintings along the top here were some watercolours that I've been working on to kind of get some thoughts of ideas for colours, some textures and things that I wanted to then work through into the collection. Big agate slices, which we then turned into a big print. And our beautiful fridges. It should be we've got that one and that one. This one's meant to be morning, and that one's meant to be evening. So we have like milk and then wine in the end. It's been quite jolly. I do an awful lot of sketchbook work. I just fill these endlessly. They can watch the sort of ideas develop, and then for the prints, I just keep these old sketchbooks, which have just got all sorts of just drawings. Nothing particularly always that fashion related as design ideas, but just all sorts of things, which then I've become quite obsessive about keeping them. And then they always find a home at some point in time. This piece I really love. Big suede poncho with all the tassel fringing. The movement on it is gorgeous. The sort of heaviness of the suede and then all the tassels all flying out. It's really lovely. I think he needs to come with a comb set to look after it, though. thought was really beautiful. It's kind of like, sort of like 40s Bowie, God knows how you describe it, but it's come out really beautiful, kind of really sort of hard, and but just quite really sort of simple and sexy as well.
Deacon's simple and sexy debut not only attracted the press, but many of the top models in the business. The 3 R's may have gotten you through grammar school, but when it comes to accessories this fall, the 4 B's will help you make the grade. Think bags, bows, brooches, and boots. This winter, a girl can never have too many bags. When on the go, grab a smartly spacious tote and you're ready for anything. Life's a gamble, so give your Dior dice a throw. These sharp satchels aren't all business. Retro-style bags get supersized this winter. No need for idle hands with this season's array of chic clutches. So many bags and so little time. The bow is back in a big way. The stylish knot is strategically placed to accentuate the positive and forget about the negative. Taking shape in rhinestones or seductive boudoir bows, the most feminine of detailing will soften your look this winter. The boot is the perfect way to ward off winter's chill. Add an equestrian flair to your gait, or walk tall in a pair that are round and rugged. Whimsical wellies can also do the trick. Any of these boots will pick up winter's pace. It's time to get pinned. Add a touch of luxe to your winter wardrobe with a dazzling vintage-inspired brooch. These oversized pins look best when offhandedly placed or worn as a stylish badge of honor. This charming accessory is the quickest way to update any outfit. Two designers highlighted a special moment in their careers this season.
I can't believe she's been in business for 20 years. That's the shocking thing that I just realized when I sat down and looked at the program. I forgot about that.
It is hard to believe that it's been 2 decades since Donna Karan introduced the world to her modern system of dressing, built around trademark essential items. This concept, based on what Karan originally referred to as 7 easy pieces, was initially developed because of Donna's desire to make women's lives easier. She started with a bodysuit, and this season, Karan returned to it 20 years later.
Everyone asked me, can I have my 7 easy pieces again and all of that. And, having the 20-year anniversary, it felt so right to kind of put it together and just say, it's right for the time. But then when I look back, I said, I do this every season. It didn't really feel like I was doing anything very different except focusing on it and saying, this is the House of Donna Karan and the staples of who we are and what we stand for. It's like kind of repunctuating what we stand for.
Another designer commemorating an anniversary is Marc Jacobs. It's been 20 years since New York's reigning king of cool graduated from Parsons School of Design. Jacobs has withstood some of fashion's most turbulent ups and downs and come out on top. Parsons celebrated the work of their alumnus with a special award presented by Mark's friend and muse, Sofia Coppola.
So on behalf of myself and Zoe and Christy and all the girls that love Marc Jacobs, I'm honored to give this award to Parsons alumni Marc Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Sophia, and it's you and Zoe and Christy and so many others that make my job not seem like a job at all.
I went to Parsons 20 years ago. I mean, I hate saying that. I really hate saying it. I can't believe that it's 20 years. When I thought about it today, I was like, oh my God, because it seems to have gone by so quickly.
There's a new crop of models popping up on the runways from New York to Paris, and these girls have a distinct look. With their large, wide eyes and bow lips evoking a doll-like beauty, Gemma Ward, Heather Marks, and Lily Cole have taken the fashion world by storm.
I'm from Australia, from Perth, and I went with my friend to a competition, and then an agent scouted me at the competition watching her, and I joined with the agency and started modelling a bit in Australia, and then I did a cover for a magazine in Sydney, and somehow the magazine landed on someone's desk in IMG, and they tracked me down and asked me to sign up. And then like 10 days later they told me that I was going to Milan for the Prada show.
There's an agent back in Canada where I'm from who came up, scouted me, and kind of asked me if I wanted to model. That was actually a couple of years ago, and I wasn't really interested. And then come May, I was kind of, you know, I had just got my braces off, was ready, so started.
I signed my agency like nearly 2 years ago, but then I went into the main board last year, and so I'm still doing it part-time, but I like a lot more now than I used to.
I don't know how long I want to do it. Anything can happen in this business, right? I mean, you can be the big thing one day and then the next, you know, not getting any bookings.
I definitely want to finish school at some point, but kind of just, you know, play it by ear, see what happens. You never know what to predict in this career.
I always wanted to get into the arts kind of making films. I mean, I always liked the idea of being an actress, whereas now I'm kind of toying with the idea of being behind the scenes, like producing, directing, something creative. So I've got 2 more years of full-time education, and then I'll probably hit do the shows properly.
I never really cared about what I looked like or anything. It never crossed my mind. I wanted to be like an actor or a comedian for a little while, because I was just always wanting to make people laugh and just be stupid. So I never thought that I'd be doing, you know, a job where you always had to look nice and polished and sophisticated. Best feature. That's a hard one. I don't know, I guess my eyes, I don't know. Your eyes are meant to be the windows to your soul, so I guess that's it. Yeah.
Both Hollywood and fashion's elite descended upon New York's public library to honor 7th Avenue's best. For many, it was a reason to party, but for others, it was a time to reflect.
I mean, who would have said that I've been doing this for 36 years?
Lifetime Achievement Award recipient Donna Karan was on hand.
In this industry, it's what's new, what's new, what's new, what's new. And I've had the opportunity now to really reflect back on 36 years of an amazing experience. And I thank my colleagues in the CFDA for allowing that to happen.
Well, I'm very excited for Sarah Jessica. She's got that mix of fashion, style, and eccentricity, which really makes a fashion icon.
Sarah has always had an amazing style, whether anyone was putting her on the cover of magazines or not. You know, when I met her, I was amazed by her style, and she's taught me so much. So I'm so happy that the CFDA is giving her the Icon Award. I think she really deserves it.
Very flattered, very honored. My mother had great affection for beautiful clothes, and I think her children inherited that.
The air was thick with talk about whether honoree Tom Ford would return to fashion after announcing his retirement.
He's one of our majors. He's a global designer. I don't know if he's made up his mind yet.
I'm going to miss him if he doesn't, because I love his clothes.
Isn't it enough, like, that he was like the god of fashion for the whole of the 90s? Like, relax, you know? Do nothing, eat lotuses and wear spats.
Tom received a special Board of Directors tribute for his incomparable contribution to fashion.
It's really hard to estimate exactly, you know, the extent of his influence is so huge.
At the moment, I'm really enjoying my retirement, which is only 3 weeks old at this point. And I have to say, tonight is wonderful. Fashion's been good to me.
The CFDA Awards brings together established design powerhouses with fresh new faces, each with a chance to take home an award.
Every year it's like kind of a little bit of a surprise, and you know, you always wonder who's going to win.
This is a very special evening for me because the nomination is something wonderful. It's a recognition of your work after so many years. No?
Very exciting. A little overwhelming because I'm really kind of new at this, but I'm hoping to have a lot of fun.
Very excited to be nominated for men's and women's the same year. It tells me that really people appreciate my whole story from start to finish.
I won 2 years ago, so hopefully we'll see if it happens again.
And happen it did. Another big winner for Menswear Designer of the Year was four-time nominee Sean Combs.
Finally, right? I'm truly blessed to be able to be in the world of fashion, to be able to do something that I love.
Picking up Swarovski's Perry Ellis Award for Emerging Talent was Zach Posen. The essence of this event is about celebrating creativity and unity.
I just think it's wonderful when you see Miuccia Prada, Tom, myself, you know, all talking about one thing. I wish the world could get together as easy as the designers do and just create peace and love, you know, and fantasy and fun.